I'd like to welcome everybody that's viewing and listening. This is the mayor moment for the City of Vero Beach, kind of an update. And today we have a neighbor of mine with us to kind of highlight some of the activities that the faith community is doing. Pastor Jeremy Redmond of the United Methodist Church, and I would like to say welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I think this is probably what week are we in for the virus? It seems like it's like Groundhog Day.
Well, we issued our local state of emergency on March 17th.
So that was St. Patrick's, so we're about a month into it.
We're about a month into state of emergency here, but probably 2 weeks prior to that, it started popping up on our radar.
Right. So I know every day we have a pause for the situation reports coming in, but we get an update at 11 and we get an update at 6 each day from the Emergency Operations Center. And do you have where we stand, Monty?
Yes. We have now all 67 counties in Florida have report of cases. And locally we are up to 77 cases. And that's kind of leveled off a little bit. We watched it go up, and it got to where it peaked in new cases per day of between a 3-day average is what they look at, so you can make statistical sense of it. And it got to between 5 and 6, and it stayed there for about 7 days. And the last week, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it, we're down in the 2 1/3 cases a day, which is encouraging that some of these efforts we're taking may be doing some good. So please don't take it for granted. Keep doing what we're doing, and we'll hopefully try to keep this increase to where we've got it now.
Okay. Now I asked Tammy's assistants, our city clerk, there's 3 slides that kind of segue into where we are with our statistics. So Holt, if you could show the first chart up there on the screen, and that should be the chart that shows the rate of cases over the last 30 days for Indian River County, and there you go, Indian River County COVID cases. And you can see that at the peak there, it's kind of bending, which is where we want it to go. All right, and so the next slide is our neighbor to the south, St. Lucie County. And if you see there, they had a little bit of a delay with the initial reporting of the cases maybe, and then it shot up very quickly. And then the last slide is the one for Martin County. And Martin County is the last Treasure Coast county. And you can see there also that you have there's an engineering term for what's that rate of growth?
Exponential.
Exponential growth. And hopefully, as Monty was saying, we'll see that curve beginning to bend. But those 3 slides are one of the reasons why we're asking folks to kind of look at the ways that you manage stress, because if you look at the numbers every day, it could be stressful, but really that should just be a kind of a glimpse. And more importantly is, what do you do with the information that you're provided, whether it's the executive order from the governor or a directive from emergency management. And I asked Jeremy to come in and kind of give us some idea of what his parish is doing. So,
yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. I know there are lots of folks struggling. Businesses and organizations all have their issues that they're having to deal with during this difficult time. And some of the challenges that we face are in staying connected, and continuing to grow in our vital relationship with Jesus, and reaching out to the community and serving people. And so we've done a lot to increase our our social media presence. We were already live streaming our worship, but that's increased exponentially, and getting used to talking into a camera rather than looking people in the eyes. That's been a bit odd, but God's used that. We've seen people inviting folks to watch parties on Facebook, and and sharing and inviting other people to join and watch, and so that's been great. Some of our groups are doing online and video conferencing. We've had to be very careful with our preschool, but we felt like we wanted to, by all means, keep it open, but be very careful because several of our parents are in those essential categories, and we don't want the kids necessarily going to grandma and grandpa's house where they'd have some vulnerability. And so we've been very careful, cleaning all the door handles multiple times a day, taking kids' temps on the way in, parents drop off in the lot, all those good things. We also have been trying to be really watchful of our elderly folks in our congregation, and so we're preparing a weekly meal for them, and there's some folks, we call them porch angels, who are taking the meals, and they just drop them off on the porch and say hi through the window, and then they're on their way. But that's been a great ministry, and I'm trying to do a daily devotional that we post on Facebook and share online, just to keep people encouraged, because it's good to be attentive, obviously, to our physical health and our emotional health, but there's an aspect that's behind that emotional health, and we call that the soul. Mm-hmm. And that's where our core beliefs about who we are and about the situation we find ourselves in, the future that we face, our value as a human being, all those core things we have to be very attentive to. And so we're trying to keep directing people back to God. And I'd also share that it's important now, too, I think, to do what we can, not to feel badly that you can't do everything, but to just do what you can. And we've found a lot of our partnerships have been increasing. We can't do a lot of things directly, but we're able to support. So, for instance, we've got a great partnership with the Salvation Army here in town, and we do a weekly meal with them, normally where we have a team that cooks and folks who are in need come and eat, but now it's passing out MREs and moving people along so they're not congregated. And our food sacks that we normally give out at VBE to children who are food insecure, they take them home over the weekends. Well, they're not in school right now, so Salvation Army's giving those out for us too, and we've seen a dramatic increase in the demand for food, especially those non-perishables. So we're actually this Thursday doing our second food drive for Salvation Army because they've just had such a demand for their food boxes that they put together for families.
So how do people help with that? I mean, if somebody's watching this and they want to contribute, do they just drop it off food or money, or how do you do it?
Yeah, thanks for that. If you go to our website, which is fumcvb.org, what you'll find on our front page there is alphabetical listing of food items. So if you're R through T, let's say your last name, I think it's beans. So that we don't get all beans
So Falls has to bring the pasta and Young brings the chili.
That's right.
Okay,
and then on Thursday from 1:30 to 5:30 in our main parking lot, which is just west of the county parking garage. So just on the west side of that, you don't have to get out of your car or anything. Just roll down your window and we'll take it from you, and we're putting it in our trailer right there. And so that's drop off from 1:30 to 5:30 on Thursday, this Thursday.
Okay. All right.
And so that's
so I know I've tried to reach out to all of the different communities, and the First Baptist Church had a food pantry, and I think some other churches also have food pantries.
Right.
So your congregation, instead of a food pantry, works with the Salvation Army. Is that how it works?
That's right. We've got a great ministry partnership with them. In fact, we're sort of cousins. We both derive from the Wesleyan movement, and so it's fun to have that kind of church family connection with them. And we've got some folks who work at the hospital, and so that connection. There's a group that got together and they've sewn. They're not masks; they're mask covers, right. And they can help protect those valuable medical masks and get some more life out of those. So we delivered about 70 of those. And we've been working with the Homeless Children's Foundation, giving hygiene kits, and we're gonna start giving them games and puzzles for the kids, and also working with an organization that's newer to town called Safe Families that helps out struggling families. And so we're just trying to work through those connections and bolster their ministries right now, and especially caring for our medical folks and the hungry and the children in our community.
My church is a block from the house. Is the Catholic church down the road, and as I was thinking about today, and the faith community and dealing with the COVID pandemic, you think of clothe the naked and feed the hungry and tend to the sick and care for the homeless and visit those that are in jail. So I mean, really, all that we're doing is applying what we've been taught all of our lives. Many of us. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's Catholicism or Protestant or I haven't reached out to Rabbi Bernholtz, but I'm sure if he's listening to this, I mean, the Jewish community is right along there with us, and I'm impressed with what you're doing. It's pretty phenomenal.
Thank you. God's really blessed us and opened up a lot of avenues, and we're blessed to be able to do it.
Yeah. So, I was kind of alluding to some of the other faith groups that are there, but the worry is, I think, for some folks that they're isolated because of the concern for the virus, and everybody's telling us not to touch, okay, and to maintain spatial distance, but you can have connection with other people in a host of different ways, and that the Yankee ingenuity that we have as Americans is teaching us kind of like how we do business here at City Hall.
Yeah, I think the term social distancing that was coined is the wrong term, and we try to say we're physical distancing. We're still socially connected.
Right.
And my own family had a chance to do that this weekend for Easter celebration. We have a niece and her husband whose birthday was Sunday, and it's their child just learned to walk. So we had a little Easter egg hunt in Grandma's backyard. Everybody stayed away from each other, but everybody got to see the family, so it was good.
Yeah. The long-term implications, and people don't know. I mean, we don't know how this will unfold in the long term, but I think the teaching points are, if we can't approach it one way, then we'll figure out another way to make it work. And I know Alma Lee passed away last week, and she was another one of those individuals who liked to help others, and I think that's a common denominator here in Vero Beach and in River County.
Yeah, if I could just interject, we've served, my family and I have served churches around the state, and we've been here in Vero Beach for just about 5 years now, and that's one of the things that's really been such a blessing and such a joy for us. That there are so many really great people who come together around a sense of calling, and so there are so many organizations that we can connect with, and you don't have to connect with all of them, but wherever your passion is, you can find it to help somebody.
Right. Okay.
Well, my job here is to remind everybody of a few things. So
yes, good.
So just want to make sure everybody knows that the city works hand in hand with the other cities in our community and in River County. We have a daily conference call where we bounce ideas off each other, make decisions together so that we give a consistent voice. We don't confuse our residents, because when you live in and around Vero Beach and in River County, we're all one family. So everyone knows that the governor issued Executive Order 2091 on April 3rd, which is safer at home. And for all senior citizens, those 65 and older and anyone with an underlying medical condition, please stay at home. The order actually says you shall stay at home. And all other persons shall limit their travel and trips to essential services and activities. And then on April 8th, the White House also sent us some information that said, limit even your trips to the grocery store and pharmacy unless they're absolutely necessary. We've closed public beaches, playgrounds, tennis courts, basketball courts, but we've kept our parks and boat ramps open to give people a chance to do some outdoor activities. We've kept Palm Beach Boardwalk open. It's been a struggle. We've changed it around a couple of times. Now it's northbound Palm Beach Boardwalk and southbound on the sidewalk, and that seems to be working pretty well. And some of the local grocery stores and hardware stores have kind of adopted the same policy of one way in the aisle. And I know we were chatting about it beforehand. We're kind of like cows headed to the barn. Sometimes we go the same way. So if you see that arrow on the floor, turn around. It'll take you a little longer, but do the things that we're asked to do, and hopefully we'll continue to get this 3-day average, lower and lower than it already is. One of the pieces of information that we recently got was about hospital capacity, and we've had some questions about that. And our hospitals here in our county are the Indian River Memorial, the Cleveland Clinic, and Sebastian. Together, those two hospitals have 40 ICU beds. 22 are occupied, so they're at 55% capacity, so there's plenty of capacity there. Ventilators, they're only at 31% capacity. There's 36 ventilators in our two hospitals, only 11 of them are being used. And then the overall hospital capacity is about the same as the ICU, it's about 54%. 194 beds out of 357 are currently being occupied.
So, I just want to make note, we are so very fortunate to have the medical expertise here in Indian River County. Having had the opportunity to visit the testing and the arrangements made by the Cleveland Clinic, it's just, people should be very, very assured, because there are many places, or there are places that don't have that luxury that we enjoy, and that's great. And the other thing I want to mention is, again, the emergency services that we enjoy here in Indian River County. The team that Tad Stone, along with the Public Health Department, run, we're very fortunate in that, because some places are reactionary as opposed to anticipatory, and the team definitely is anticipatory in trying to provide for all of the various necessities that you need to have. If you go out, you want to make sure that you have the personal protective equipment for the first responders, and Mr. Stone provided 2 services available with the capability of responding, and that's been a success. So that's a fantastic thing that we have. If you look at the businesses, I think the businesses have really been supportive of making sure that we're doing supportive measures, because the businesses are the heart of Vero and a community.
One of the things that we all enjoy about living here is that we have low density, and low density has been one of the biggest things that's helped us with this spread of this virus. The closer you live, the more contact you have in apartment buildings and condominiums. We're spread out here by our good zoning and land use, and that's been a real benefit to us. So those things don't go unnoticed.
I keep looking at the strengths of our community, and if you think of it, we began as a agricultural county. When the early settlers came here and they put in the drainage canals, so that you could have citrus and vegetable gardens and produce. And that money largely went to a lot of the faith communities and the civic organizations. And really, if you imagine the strength behind all of the different faith communities, that's enormous. It really is. Monty and I, when this was early on, before there began the implementation, we reached out to the faith communities and said, hey, you need to be thinking about not having services. And I would say 99% of the communities have elected not to bring people together, but to utilize the different ways that you can do it. On Easter Sunday, I was surprised because I got an automated phone call from the Palm Beach Diocese Bishop Barbarita giving me a blessing. And for a minute there, I thought, I don't know where this is coming from. And I picked up on it cautiously. But the little things. The Rotary group is talking about trying to reach out to those that are isolated, some of the elderly groups out there. For Amelie, the city, along with Rotary, were able to put the flags up on the Amelie Bridge. Those little things that bring folks together are pretty important. And I know, mentally, you're having to deal with all these stresses. And Thursday, in 2 days, we'll have David Moore, the new superintendent, come talk about the schools, because if you got a young family and all of a sudden you're having not only to deal with day to day, but you've got another rocking your ruck, and that is stressful. Because life has changed. It's not only for those that have extra kids there, but next door neighbor's a teacher. So not only does she have her 2 kids, but you get 150 class students that you got to look at. And you're the same way. Your parish, you're not only looking for your family, but making contact with all of the parishioners.
Yeah. And that's been a special thing too. That lots of folks making lots of phone calls that you wouldn't normally make, and that's just such a sweet thing. You may run into them at church, you may not, but if you pick up the phone, you'll get them. And if I could just say a thank you to the teachers. Both of our girls are at the high school, and I know there was a steep learning curve, but they've just done a phenomenal job, and I'd like to congratulate them.
And Monty's protected our staff here at the city, so that the last thing we want to do is add to the stress curve if the trash collectors no longer pick up the roadside. It would really get ugly.
Knock on wood, we've been fortunate with the things we've done. We restricted access to City Hall other than the council chambers and the lobby to just city employees, and thank you to the public and the press for respecting that. We really appreciate that. But it has allowed us to, knock on wood, stay as safe as we can stay.
All right. Okay. We did not receive any questions earlier. The city clerk shaking her head no. But if you want to send questions or concerns, go ahead, and we will meet again Thursday afternoon at 1:30. If you have a question, please send them to the city clerk at covb.org. City of Vero Beach, covb.org. And then next Tuesday is our normal city council meeting, and that will be in the evening. And that's at 5. Okay. Jeremy, thank you.
And I'll finish up the way I have in the past. So the things we've done has made a difference. We have slowed down that 3-day average. So please stay safe at home. Don't let our guard down. Practice our physical distancing of 6 feet. You can see we're all trying to do that here. Shop when you have to. buy what you need, leave some for others. Keep our hands clean. My hands are probably as clean as they've ever been in my life. And wear your mask when you're in public now that we've been asked to, the mayor showing his. And the one phone number, the county's emergency information center, 772-226-4000. That call volume is down below 50 a day now. So we feel like we're getting the word out, but that number's still there if you need it. And keep doing what we're doing. Be kind to each other.
That's right. Thank you.